Hi, my name is David Bryer and I am a literary translator working part-time also at the University of Sussex. I'd like to read the first lines of a novel by the Austrian writer Robert Menasse. I've translated two of his novels, the first being the first of a trilogy. This had the German title Selige Zeiten, Brüchige Welt, which I translated rather freely as Wings of Stone. The second novel was entitled Don Juan de la Mancha, which didn't need translating. The novel he wrote before this last one is entitled Die Vertreibung aus der Hölle, Expulsion from Hell, and has not been translated into English, despite the fact that, as Robert confided in me, it was written in his lifeblood. The novel has two storylines. The first follows the fortunes of a young Portuguese Jew, a real person who lived at the time when the Jews were expelled from the Iberian Peninsula. He moved with his family to the Netherlands, where he became later the teacher of Spinoza. His name was Samuel Menasse ben Israel, from whom Robert Menasse himself is descended. The second storyline concerns a young Jew living in modern-day Austria, where he encounters and challenges continuing post-war antisemitism. The two stories have striking parallels, and both concern our failure to learn from history. Robert's last novel, called Die Hauptstadt, the capital, won the German Book Prize in 2019 and was naturally translated into English. But Expulsion from Hell, inexplicably, has not been. So here is the beginning of this wonderful tale, which I now read in the hope that there might be a publisher out there with enough good sense to buy the English rights. They're going to set fire to the house. We'll be burnt alive. If we run outside, they'll kill us. He saw the torches flare up in front of the window shutters. He heard the din the people outside were making, singing, shouting, bawling. It was a funeral procession. Moving through the streets was the largest funeral procession that the small town of Vila dos Conejos had ever seen. And, strangest of all, it was a funeral procession in which no one was mourning. Two black horses, decorated with lilac rosettes, were pulling the hearse, on which there lay a coffin that was so small it seemed made to measure for a newborn child. Behind it, with a crucifix held up in both hands, walked Cardinal João d'Almeida from Evora, in blood-red robes and red biretta, the ermine-embroidered capa magna over his shoulders, with its train carried by 4 canons in lilac robes. Following these, in their black cassocks, with white surplices and violet stoles, came the priests of Conejos and of the surrounding parishes. The nobles, in purple velvet, with broad leather belts, carried drawn swords, their points lowered. The representatives of the municipal authority and of the bourgeoisie, dressed in black and wearing large black hats, carried torches whose blackened plumes of smoke formed an encircling gauze band of mourning around the sun. All this pomp, which would have been appropriate enough for a state funeral, could not disguise the fact that the mood with which it was infused was of rage, hate, and bloodlust. Nearly the whole of Conejos was up and about and had joined this procession, in which a cat was being taken for burial. It was not prayers, they muttered, but curses, and instead of folding their hands, they shook their fists. Their faces were not reddened by the sun, but by strong grappa, and were not marked by grief, but rather by the lust to kill, to loot, and to plunder. Thank you for listening.